Hello again, everybody. It's that time of the evidence review episode that I do corrections because we've got some. George and Nancy were so kind to listen to and watch the episode that we did last week and gave us a few correction/comments. At 3812, there is a EVP that I thought that we had. It turns out that it was just George and Whitney talking. So that has been debunked. Happy to say that that's been debunked. When we were talking about Bob Batterson, I mentioned that he was 86 years old. He was actually 102 when he died. I have no idea where I got 86 from, but this man was a legend. He survived Pearl Harbor. So, really cool guy. It's amazing that he went back to the Lexington and did all the volunteering that he did and stuff like that and lived to 102. And I believe Nancy said that he passed away last year. So yeah. And they listened to the EVP that we got by the Locks, and they said that it's possible it could be Thomas or Tommy, not Terry. So if you want to go back and take a listen to that, please let us know what you hear, because I honestly have no idea. I thought it said Terry, but I can also see why it would also be Tommy. So that makes a lot of sense. They said that there was a Tommy Samples that was a casualty of the kamikaze attack there, and a psychic medium found out that he likes to be called Thomas. So interesting stuff. I never would have guessed. She said that they also do up to 3 ghost tours a week. They're scheduled for Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. So if you are interested in going out there, I highly recommend doing so, and ask for George and Nancy because they are amazing. So with that, I believe that is all of the corrections that we have before this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed the part 2 of the evidence review. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Whitney.
And I'm Taylor.
I'm Mom.
I'm Dad.
And we're the ghost family.
Woo! Woo!
So we are back for episode 2 of our evidence review of the USS Lexington. If you're jumping into this episode and you're like, what? Go back 2 episodes. Splash. Yes, exactly. Go back 2 episodes and read and listen to our history review of the Lexington, and then we had a full episode of evidence as well. And just to recap, we kind of went through the beginning of our... Whitney looked at me like, do we need to recap?
That's not at all what just happened. I just literally was getting...
Oh, okay. It looked like you were like, why?
Mm-mm. I just moved.
So I just moved. That's just my face.
Moved.
So we started with going to the Lexington and getting into the battle dressing area and the junior officers' quarters. We went into the forecastle, and then we saw the Locks. We went to the volunteer room, and then we headed from there out to the wardroom, and that's where we stopped last time. So I hinted at what we're doing this time, and the first place that we're going to go to is the brig. And the brig is, of course, where they would jail, people that did shit on the ship when they weren't supposed to be. They said that this would not be held for prisoner of war or anything like that. It was primarily for disciplinary action for the people that were, like, for the officers on the ship. And they typically wouldn't be held for more than 2 or 3 days, depending on the severity of the crime. But we asked, you'll see here in just a second, the spirit that we were communicating with, we asked, were you in here a long time? It said yes. So we don't know how long is. So while we were down there, it was just, there were 4 cells. 4 cells, yeah. So the first 3 had doors on them. The 4th one had the door removed.
It was like, it looked like it was propped up against the wall. And there's not a lot of room, like, in the brig or in the little hall where all of the things are.
You'll actually see kind of how tight it is with this first video.
Say how
you couldn't stand side by side.
No.
And then how big were or the cells that they were in?
You'll see exactly how big they
okay.
are.
Okay.
So,
if you guys hear what sounds like a monster purring,
It is.
it is.
It's Doc.
Doc. He is demanding pets.
Yes. So, the brig, they were telling us that they would put 2 people per cell.
Oh.
And at night, they would chain up the beds so that they could get into the beds. And then in the day, they would take the beds off of the wall. So they
and
literally
remove them. So you can't. There's
can't.
no napping. There's no sitting down, or you
There
sit
is
on the
sitting
floor.
down, but you're on the floor. Yeah.
But they removed everything. There was no no activities.
It was true punishment. And they had somebody on guard at all times. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What we didn't talk about was like bathroom.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Surely they like.
I'm sure they could go to the head. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was it.
Yeah. So, it was just Whitney and I in here. George and Nancy were nice enough to give us the cat balls to use because they said that those would go off. So we had.
They were just kind of in the hallway, like right before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they were off like.
They could hear us. We could kind of hear them if they talked at a normal level, but like them whispering, we couldn't hear. I think there was even a point in time I walked over and was like, "Did you guys say something?" And they were like, "No." So
yeah,
they were close enough, but not that close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were using. Whitney had the dowsing rods. We had cat balls in. I went into the second cell and closed the door. We had one in there. We had one. Whenever you first walk into the brig, there's like this box on the wall. We had one sitting on there, and then as you turn the corner into the brig, there was a shelf, and Whitney had one in there, and then in the final cell.
No. In the third.
In the third? I thought you put it in the fourth cell.
The fourth cell kind of freaked
you out?
So
Okay.
I didn't go into it. Okay. That's where I think I saw, I don't know, it wasn't even like a person. It was like...
You said it was like a piece of paper.
Yeah, it was kind of like a black tissue paper that just kind of like flitted into that cell, and I was like, no.
No, thank you.
Maybe that was the one to put everything in.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So in my cell, I had one of the cat balls, the millimeter. Whitney had her camera going, and then I had a recorder. At this point you didn't have a recorder yet. And then I had Ghost Tube going on my phone. So we were talking about, so we go in there, George is kind of explaining some stuff about the brig, but he was like, I'm not going to tell y'all too much because I don't want you to be influenced. And so I chose to go into cell 2 because I was just like, this is the cell I want to go in. And I closed the door and sat down. And Whit just kind of hung out in the hall. What?
Did I get touched before all of that?
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, you, at that point, I had sat down and...
I thought it was before.
It was before. He was still standing there.
Yeah, because he was telling us about stuff.
And you were like, ooh, I got touched on my left.
So the fourth cell, and then I was in front of the third cell, and then there was this red thing on the wall to the left of me. Mm-hmm. And then I felt something touch my arm. Like if someone just like with 2 fingers lightly like tried to grab me or something. Like just very light, like right kind of like above my elbow, back of my what is this?
Your weenus?
Bicep.
It's called the weenus.
Okay,
is it really?
That's your skin on your elbow.
My elbow.
Yeah.
I was saying above that.
I was thinking for
your
tricep. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
It's like kind of on my bicep area. And I remember first kind of like moving my arm to be like, was that my shirt? Mm-hmm. And then I tried to move it to see if I was hitting that red thing that I was standing next to. And then I was like, there's no fucking possible way anything could have touched me there. And then I was like, oh shit, I had a ghost experience. Something fucking touched me. So, and then I said that, and then we split up.
Yeah, then we split up and started doing stuff. Yeah, so she remained outside of the cell in the hall,
but I did put a cat ball on the thing,
on the red thing
where I got touched. So.
Yes, and that actually brings us to our first video, which is Whitney's those cat balls going off. So she
I forgot.
She looked into the fourth cell, and then turned around and was like, oh, that one's going off. And then she was like, oh my God, they're both going off. So here.
I do really well.
Yes, definitely. So here is that.
Oh, they're both going off. Oh. And I think that noise is you.
It's me in the other cell.
Yeah,
getting
I was
settled.
like, I don't think that's.
Yeah.
anything.
So we're doing stuff. We're doing dowsing rod things, but at some point, oh no, I asked you, do you want the dowsing rods? Because I still had them with me, and Whitney was like, sure. So we went to open my cell, and I gave them to her, and then she couldn't get the cell door closed again, and during this time, George comes over to try to help close the cell door, and that is whenever my the cat ball that's in the cell with me goes off. So I've got that video. Okay. And you can see how dark it is in there. It was pitch black. Did you screw it up, Whitney?
Why can't I close it? Is that ball going on?
Yes. Because of us?
But we are making it go off? No. No?
Oh?
Okay.
That did.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, but this one was going off.
Okay.
If that was you, can you make that ball go off again?
Seems like the vibrations would have made it go off.
So we thought that because
Say, didn't we try it?
we tried it, and actually there's another angle of this from Whitney's camera, because at this point she's still holding her camera.
That's probably why I couldn't close the door.
Probably, because it was also why you dropped the recorder.
Oh yeah.
So
That was a whole.
that
yeah,
was
that
a
was
thing. So, because we thought the same thing. That's why we were like, is us doing the door what's causing that? And it was causing the ones that were on the walls, but the vibration didn't come through the floor. Because there are several times that we mess with that door, and opening and closing it doesn't make the cat ball go off.
But to be clear, whenever they did go off, we weren't doing anything to the door.
Right, exactly. The ones, so in the previous video, when those went off, nobody was near them and there was nothing happening. So, so Whitney gets the dowsing rods, and she kind of sets up and asks, is anybody in here with us right now? It says yes. Did you get sent to the brig for insubordination? And it said yes. And we asked, like, what did you do to get put in the brig? And that is whenever we get our first thing that was on only my recorder. Okay.
In dad fashion, do what you do.
Do what did you do?
So I want you to listen to the laughing that Whitney and I are doing.
In dad fashion, do what you do.
Do what did you do?
Oh, there's the lower male.
There's a man laughing with us.
What?
There's a man laughing with us.
Not the first that they.
So
In the middle while they're laughing.
So I say, dude, what'd you do? And then we start laughing, and there's a man that goes at the end of it.
I want to hear.
In dad fashion, do what you do.
Do what did you do? I don't hear it.
No,
I don't
I
hear
hear it very
It
clear.
is very clear. I don't
Really?
know why
Really?
y'all don't hear that, because I played that over and over and over again to make sure it was
It's a
there.
I just hear
very
you and me
low,
laughing.
Low laugh.
Low.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's a very low laugh.
Okay, one more
Definitely
time.
a male voice.
Yes.
In dad fashion, do what you do.
Do what did you do? Oh, I do hear it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, so it might work better if, like, Dad points out where it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just watch for him and listen.
In dad fashion, do what you do.
Do what did you do? It's like my laugh turns like
Yes.
it goes from like a higher like my laugh to a lower laugh. But that laugh continues,
It continues after we've stopped laughing.
Yeah, like I stop laughing, but there's still a laugh.
Yes.
One more time.
Okay.
In dad fashion, do what you do. Do what you do.
It's after you laugh.
Yeah, it's after she.
Oh,
laughs.
okay.
It's during, like, right before I go, dude, what did you do? Like, right.
I was gonna say there's something at the beginning. It's like a
No, that's me.
No, that's
not
Whitney.
Like, I'm like, oh,
no.
huh.
So I don't know why you
Huh.
can't hear that. That's
I
so
don't
crazy
know.
because
I
that
can-
was
it's like a chuckle.
yeah.
It's not even just like a ha ha ha. It's like a ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's like the guy that we were talking to was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
That's
you know,
funny.
like, yeah,
And-
so
And George wasn't in there.
George was not in there. Yeah, he was, because that was my first thought was, well, maybe we caught, like, George kind of laughed a little bit, but that only appears on my recorder. It's not on its camera or my phone. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
I'm so disappointed. I
I'm
can't
sorry.
hear it.
I can turn the volume up a little bit.
That might help.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, y'all are at 75.
Can you
What was that?
That was the thing, just,
can you lower certain bands of the audio?
nah.
No, and we talked about that at one
Manipulation
point.
of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
like trying to lower the range or something like that. Like,
To
at what
isolate.
point then are you?
Making it sound like what you want it
No,
to sound like.
And it wouldn't be if you think that you hear something during the regular audio,
Mhm.
you could eliminate some of the background
Sure.
aspects of that just to see if that is true. what
Yes.
you're hearing.
Yeah. So, okay, so with the volume all the way up, here we go.
Okay.
In dad fashion, do what you do. Do what you do.
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes,
Yes, exactly. So when I heard that, that was one of the things that I was like, I am so excited to show y'all that, because that is there. I mean, up to this point, we've had nothing that really had an explanation, but that snapped me out of what I was doing, because I tend to listen to it and do something on my phone, and things that catch my attention are what I pull. And that snapped me out of it, because I was like, there wasn't a dude with us. Like,
And
George
it's
was
not-
with us, but he wasn't in the cell
Well,
with
and even
me.
at that, it's too deep for George. Like,
And
it's an older gentleman, like
it's a deep,
Yes.
deep voice. Like, I picture he's got like a round bald head, and
So what?
like Papa.
Yeah. What really got me is there's no echo. We echo, but that voice doesn't.
oh, I don't like that.
And that to me, so do you want to listen again and
Okay.
listen to it not echo?
In dad fashion, do what you do. Do what you do.
Then it even breathes too.
It even breathes, yes.
because he laughs like, and then he's like,
Yeah.
like kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That was a belly laugh. That was a knee
But yeah,
slapper.
but there is no echo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means that it had to have been right into the recorder. So that was crazy. That was a really weird one.
He was standing right next to you.
Now, this one is going to make Whitney not happy. So she asks, the next question she asks is, did you touch me a couple of minutes ago? And the rods respond yes. And then after a little bit, so it takes a little bit for the rods to actually respond yes. And then whenever they do, she says, yep, you touched me. And then slightly after that, we get something that is only on my recorder. And I want to see if...
Seems to be a pattern that
Yeah.
everything's only on your recorder.
Which
Yeah.
is weird. I've noticed that it's... I get a lot of EVPs, but she starts getting stuff when she starts using her recorder. So I
was gonna
think
say,
that whenever
Because
you...
I don't think I started using my recorder until, or I tried to here, and then I dropped it, and there was a whole thing,
Yes.
and then I started using it.
Right, exactly. So let's see if you guys hear what I heard.
Yep, you touched me. Can you put it back to neutral?
There's like a whisper in there.
There it is.
Yeah, there's a whisper.
I don't know what it says.
Listen again.
Yep, you touched me. Can you put it back to neutral?
I can't make it out.
Yeah, I hear
But
I
it's
hear
like
something
there's
with
three
an
words
S
or something.
There's three words, and there is something with an S in it. So there's two words before whatever is said before whatever I or Whitney says, and then there's another word after that.
Oh, I don't hear that. I hear after you say and you wait a little bit, then you hear.
Yeah, it's like a.
Okay. And that might be that it's the same thing said twice, like it's trying to say something. I'll let you listen one more time before I tell you what I think it says.
Okay.
Yep, you touched me. Can you put it back to neutral?
Yes, something.
I hear that's not true. I hear that's not before I say something, and then true
You don't say
afterwards.
anything.
Or whatever the middle part is.
I say put it back to neutral.
Yes. Yeah. So whenever I hear that's not before she says that, and then true.
Oh, see, I don't hear.
I just hear a whisper.
Well, here it is again.
Yep, you touched me. Can you put it back to neutral?
Okay.
Yeah, I hear it before.
Now you
she
hear it.
says it.
No, I still don't hear it.
Yeah. Okay.
I could hear whether or not it says that's not true.
Mhm.
Power of suggestion, maybe a little
Sure.
bit.
Now that
But
I told you what I think it
I
is,
do
yeah.
hear better something that, but I still think if it does say anything, it says like that's not true. True.
Yeah.
Or
That could
it's
be.
like it repeats. That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah. And that makes sense
But-
for you're accusing them of touching you, and they were like, "No, that wasn't me, man.
Oh,
Like,
well,
that
I mean,
wasn't.
I
didn't
said
touch
yes
her."
to the
So,
dowsing rods.
yeah.
But no, fuck that. But I
See, I just hear the 3 words. I don't hear that last one.
Okay.
but I wouldn't say for certain that it says that's not true.
But it's
Okay.
just like a.
Yeah.
That's just, and like I said, I just put on there what I think, what I heard. So, so then Whitney asks, "Were you trying to get my attention?" It said no. And then I said, "Was she in your way?" And then it said yes. And I was like, "She's in my way a lot." And then it said, "Were you in the brig for a long time?" It said yes. And then Whitney said, "Were you trying to put me in the brig?" And it said yes. But then we also get another voice with that.
But why? Why? But okay.
I don't know.
But
Here we
why
go.
were you trying to put me in the brig?
Here we
You're
go.
bad.
You're just one of those characters.
Yeah.
Were you trying to put me in the brig?
Yes.
Yes.
It really wanted to put you in the brig, Whit.
In that 4th one.
Probably.
Probably that was the majority of what was happening was like that touch. It was like it was trying to pull her.
Yeah, it was
And-
like
Huh.
like
So-
that. Like not enough to like move me, but it definitely felt like
Yeah.
like come over here
Huh.
or
So then I asked, "Is it okay that I'm sitting in the brig?" It said yes. And it said, Whitney said, "Would you like for me to get into the brig?" We got no response. And then, "Is there more than one spirit here with us right now?" It said yes. And then at this point, I had noted that the ball goes off in the back cell, but you can't see it on the video.
Okay.
Because at this point, Whitney has set, no, you haven't yet. Yes, you
No,
have. You've
that's
set your.
that's when I dropped the recorder.
Yeah, that was when you
me
dropped the
trying to
recorder.
Fix that.
So then the ball goes off in the back cell. Whitney said, "Did you just touch the ball?" It said yes. "Can you touch the balls in one of the other cells?" Yes. "Did you have a cellmate with you while you were here in the brig?" Yes. "Were you and your cellmate friends?" No. Is the cellmate the reason why you were in the brig? Yes. And then I said, "Is there anyone in the cell with me?" It said yes. And then I said, "Are you what's making my back and the back of my arms feel weird?" I got no response. And I had this tingling sensation, like before when I have a low blood sugar attack or before I get anxious, the backs of my arms will start to feel staticky and cold and tingly.
Okay.
And I was feeling that all the way up my back and down the backs of my arms.
And it wasn't you.
So
having
actually,
anxiety.
something's coming up here that might explain that. But
Okay.
in the time, I didn't know that this was happening.
Okay.
So, and then Whitney said, "Is there something else making Taylor feel that way?" No response. And then Whitney said, "Are you making my leg feel tingly?" And it said no. But then we get this weird noise on my recorder. And we acknowledge it, that this noise happened.
Okay.
Did you hear that? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like a hiccup. Yeah, that was weird.
What's weird is hearing it again reminds me of what we heard in the church.
Yep.
In the
Okay.
what?
Yeah.
In the church.
In the chapel part. We're going to get to that
Yeah.
here in just a second.
So can you play again? I didn't
Yeah.
hear the hiccup.
Yeah.
It's at the very beginning.
Did you hear that? It was kind of like a hiccup. Yeah, that was weird.
So, yeah, that was just a very...
I even asked George, I think I asked them, like, hey, did you, like, move your shoe or something? Like, because, you know, a sneaker can, like, squeak.
Yeah.
Which I'm shocked that my shoes did not squeak, squeak, squeak. Because, like, walking, whenever I'm wearing them at work and everything, it sounds like I have gum on the bottom of my shoes. And I'm just like, but I was okay.
Yes. At one point, Whitney said, the one that made my leg feel tingly is that, are you the same one that touched me earlier? And it said yes. So apparently this is the same spirit just really trying to get her. And I asked, do you like Whitney? And it said yes. But then the dowsing rods crossed entirely. And Nancy said that is their way of giving a hug.
Oh,
So
that's so sweet.
He likes me so much. He just wants to capture me and put me in the brig.
he's just going to keep you there.
keep you forever.
He didn't see a ring on it, so he's locking me up. That's
Will,
what it was.
Will is going to be like, hey now.
Hey,
Hey,
whoa,
hey,
whoa,
wow,
whoa.
wow. So at
Lost
this
the
point,
dead guy.
yeah. So at this point, I asked Whitney if she wanted to come and sit down in the cell with me. And here's about where you're going to see how close this was.
Okay.
But she sits down and it is literally just enough room for the both of us to sit. My back is against the back of the cell wall at this point, and she's basically against the door.
And we're both cross-legged.
We're both cross-legged.
Okay.
So we asked, is this how cramped it was when you both were in here? And it said yes. And while we were waiting for the rods to be put back to neutral, the ghost app said no energy. You good? It's a tight fit. So you're probably going to need to face me. Yeah, I know.
Come on, put your hands.
Get back so you can.
Is this how cramped it was when you both were in here?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry. Can you put those back to neutral, please?
Almost. Just the other one now.
Yep. Can you move the other one?
Ooh, let's try it.
You got it.
Yeah, you got it. Oh, there you go, bud. All right. Whoop, too far. Too far.
Can you put it back?
This way now. No.
No energy.
No energy.
Oh. I'll put it back for you. Okay.
There you go.
Was that you that said you had no energy?
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to work anymore. Okay. One last question. Do you want us to leave you alone now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you do. Okay.
Okay.
We're done. We're good. So sorry.
We thank you for telling us.
You did awesome. Appreciate everything. All right, I'm gonna put it back to neutral now.
Okay.
Okay.
He said, nah, fam.
It's like I'm out. All right.
That was
Yes. So I said something while we were watching that. So.
I can cut it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
What did you
I said,
say?
it's so hard.
Yeah, she's so difficult.
Like I was trying to do it.
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah. So we end the dowsing rod session, and while we're doing this, there is a very strange noise that is below her and I talking. So, and it's caught only on my recorder.
Oh, I was like, I didn't hear anything.
At this point, Whitney's battery on her camera had died, so we only have my recorder and my phone going. Okay. And this is just listening.
Okay.
Okay.
He said, nah, fam.
It's like I'm out. All right.
That was fascinating. Cool. And I got that on video.
Did you hear it?
It's like
Is there
a high
whistling
pitch
or something?
It's like a high-pitched whistle or scream or something.
So-
and
Like,
this
oh,
might...
please, and-
Okay, this might be because George actually mentioned at one point he heard a whistle, but neither of us heard it.
Yeah, he asked us afterwards. He was like, "Did you guys hear a whistle?" And I was like, "Nope." And he
Nope.
was like, "Huh."
He said it was while you two were in the cell together, and we didn't hear it. And so this might be what he was referring to. It's just that it was maybe our position we couldn't hear it
I
or
was
something.
like, "It's weird that the recorder would pick it up,
But we wouldn't hear it, and he would
and
hear
that
it.
George and Nancy would hear it,
Right. Yeah,
away from the cell."
right. So,
And, or I guess I can wait. I can wait until we're
okay.
past this. Okay.
Yeah. So at this point, we are getting ready to like get up and get going and that kind of stuff. And I have stopped recording on my GhostTube app, which is why I don't have video of this, but we have the audio of this. So listen to what happens here.
You did. Because it shows up, it'll show the word that pops up too. So it'll show that it said,
No energy.
eat.
Eat. You gotta eat now.
Do I need to eat?
Is it checking your blood sugar? Is that what's going on?
I'm at 91, Whitney.
Are you really?
I'm at 91, yes. And I'm going down.
So you need to eat.
I need to eat.
Oh shit.
So we're sitting there getting ready to pack up, and the GhostTube app says eat, and we were like, well, maybe that's why I don't have energy. And then when I checked my sugar on my sensor, it was 91 and like straight down arrow, meaning it was tanking.
And
So-
you felt like how you do when you go low with the
When I
tingling
had
and
the
everything.
tingling and stuff, so apparently
and
I
nothing
had I
was
may
touching
have,
you.
Yeah, I may have started to go low, and when I said, "Were you touching me?" and it said no, or I got no response,
Yeah.
that might be because I was starting to go low and hadn't realized it.
Huh.
And
And
then
it
the
could have
ghost
been-
came and said, "Hey, you might want to eat something." And so at this point, we started to head back to the volunteer lounge so that I could eat something.
But it also could have been the no energy was like
You have no energy,
You're about to be in trouble. Like,
Right.
You're struggling.
right? So
So
for those who don't realize, for reference, 70, when your blood sugar hits 70 is whenever your organs start to shut down because they don't have enough sugar to run themselves. So that's why the
It's important.
eating is
too.
important. So,
now, so what I was gonna say,
yes.
and I was like, let me finish, or let you finish. George had said whenever we both got in the cell
Mhm.
that the light darkened and came back up. And not like a shadow, like my shadow moved in front of it. All of the light that was coming from where we were all darkened and then came back up. Like there was a filter in front of him,
Yeah.
or like someone put a piece of paper and then moved it.
right.
So
Wonder why. And
We-
had that happened
and I-
before with them?
I think he mentioned that it's not necessarily that has happened with the light and everything, but he has seen shadow figures and stuff. And that's whenever I was like, and I think talk about it when
Yeah.
we go to the volunteer room. And then I started, because I just was listening, and then I was like, so I did see something when I was in there kind of float past me. And he was like into one of the last cells, and I was like, yep. And he was like, yup.
Yep.
So
And he said that actually cell 2 is the most active of all of those cells, and that was the one that I had chosen to sit down in.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
so on our way back, Whitney had dropped the recorder, and the batteries had popped out. That was what we discovered when we got back upstairs from the brig, and George went down to go find them, and one of our batteries vanished.
yeah, he could only find one.
He could only find one of them. We don't know if it's still rolling around in there. Like, I should ask George and Nancy if anybody found a
Did
battery.
you find a battery?
Did you guys find a battery?
But like, did you find it?
So we were like, well, we need to put batteries back in this anyway, so we'll just go back to the volunteer room. And this is really just for me and my crew at my job. But the GhostTube app has the ability for you to add words to them. So like, I've added your name and your name and Whitney and me and like people around us, like Mammy and Grandma. I've added their names. I added the name of the ghost that we think is haunting the 6th floor. His name is Nathaniel, and there's a whole story behind why we named him Nathaniel.
Y'all named him Nathaniel.
Yeah, we named him Nathaniel. Initially, his name was Nathaniel because that was what came through on the little box thingy that we were doing. And then whenever we asked again, like, what's your name? It came back with Chris. And so we were like, we're just going to combine the names. Now it's Nathaniel. So I added this name way a long time ago to, you know, just in case it wanted to come through and be like, Nathaniel, you know. And we've never once had this name pulled. So while we were walking from the brig back to the volunteer lounge, this is what comes through on the GhostTube app because I'm recording again.
Make our way back to
Okay. You can do this, Taylor. I have faith in you. Normally, it will say the word that comes through, but there's no way for it to pronounce Nathaniel, so it didn't alert. That's why I didn't see it in real time. I only saw it whenever I went back and was looking at evidence. So I sent the picture to everybody and was like, you guys, and now we have a running theory because when I came back from the Lexington, activity on the 6th floor ramped up. So
we also had, Dad said whenever I got back,
activity
ramped up here.
And we know that Stephanie was with Whitney because she responded, or at least something claiming to be Stephanie responded that yes, they were with us.
So somebody latched onto you.
So we think that whatever's haunting the 6th floor latched onto me, went with me to the Lexington, powered up, and then came back with me and was able to do stuff. So that's the running theory right now. We're not sure if that's actually true or not, or if this is actually an entity that I've had attached to me for a while that I brought to the 6th floor when I moved there. So, but that was just a weird thing.
Maybe that's the, you know, when you had the thing in your office that showed the red stick figure.
Oh yes, yeah. I showed that a long time ago. Yeah, that way throwback.
Oh yeah, you posted it.
I posted it way long time ago, and I might just like repost it so you can see it. But I was setting up the SLS cam in my office and just let it sit there. And when I turned around at one point, there was a figure mapped in on top of my desk, and I even went to try to debunk it to get the camera to recalibrate, and it would like move away from me whenever I would try to go near it. Like, so yeah, maybe we caught whatever was attached to me, and it was popping in like, what's this?
Yeah.
So, but it was a weird thing. So we started to head back to the volunteer room. We sit down so that I can start eating, but we, just like the previous time, pull out stuff so that we can look. And I've got my phone out. We've got the Melmeter, the Take K2, and then my recorder. And I think Whitney started her recorder right about now. So
Bonks the whole brother.
yeah. So at one point, the S-Box or the GhostTube app starts pulling different names, or it pulls a name and then it pulls a phrase and then it pulls a word. And at this point, I was like, I think I'm just going to turn this off. So here are those 3 videos.
Justin.
Sure. So how long have y'all been doing this?
That's right. We got coffee.
Yeah, y'all were getting coffee.
It was like 10 and I was going downhill.
She was. At one point, she yawned and I was like, you can't yawn. It's only 11.
Don't start
Not
it.
allowed to yawn because we were there until 2.
Yeah.
So that was the name that came through. And I didn't, at the time, Nancy and George were not in the room. And I didn't think to ask them if Justin was anything that meant anything to them.
Oh, okay.
So George and Nancy, if that means something to you, let me know. And then the next one that it pulls.
It's like the perfume in my house, because I could do the same. I could
Is
walk.
this yours?
I could walk into one area and smell it, and I could back out of it and be like, nope, and then walk back into it, and you could smell it. So it was like, it's not just
No,
in the
everywhere.
air; it's just right
It's
here.
isolated. But this was like rotting meat.
Maybe they were asking, "Is this your perfume?"
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I got, is this yours? And then the final one that we got that made me go, I'm just going to turn this off was this.
In sunbeds.
Yeah.
And I figured maybe like a raccoon died in the floorboard. No. That was kind of odd.
Hell.
Then where we used to live,
What did it say?
Hell?
Hell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was like,
raccoon died in a floorboard. I don't remember what we were talking about.
we were talking about when George went into the antique store, and it was below the theater, and the owner of the theater had committed suicide, and he kept smelling rotting meat whenever he walked through that door.
Yeah.
And so he asked the owners of the antique shop, has anybody died here? And they were like, actually, yes. And he was like, I was expecting like raccoon in the floorboard, and I got, no, the owner died. So
Wow.
yeah.
Maybe. Well,
And he went to hell?
there we go. I was like,
I don't know.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah, that was just a
Or he
weird.
committed suicide.
Oh, that's.
Well,
I mean,
it's
I
true.
don't. Yeah, but
Or he's like, no, hell.
Oh shit!
So
Oh hell, he's telling that story. How embarrassing!
so
Raccoon.
Oh, hell.
at one point, George and Nancy are talking about how their medium joined with them, and you hear this really strange noise behind all of us talking.
Let me
Go,
tell
listen
you.
up. all yours. Oh,
So-
there we go.
Yeah, right.
It's
thank
been
you.
going crazy, yeah.
It was like, chill out.
Yeah. So what happened was she came over and she said,
That's not a strange noise. That is a breath and a whisper and another breath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just weirdness. Like I couldn't make out anything that was being said in the whisper, but yeah.
let me
Go,
tell you.
listen up. all yours. All yours. Oh,
So-
there we go.
Yeah, right.
It's
thank
been
you.
going crazy, yeah.
It was like, chill out.
Yeah. So what happened was she came over and she said,
I hear.
I don't
It'd be interesting for them to play that for the medium.
Yeah, that would
If that's what we were talking about at the time.
Yeah, that was what we were talking about. So, so that was weird. Did you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So at this point, we're like, okay, let's move on because I've eaten and my sugar has hit 100 again. So I was like, I'm good to go. So Nancy was like, well, I got to hit the head. So Whitney and Nancy went to the bathroom, and then George and I, because Ladder of Steel over here, I was like, oh, I got to go. So
I was like, you mentioned it, so now
yeah.
I have to pee 3 gallons. So
In true Taylor fashion, like any road trip we were on, you all be like, "Seriously, you have to go to the bathroom?" No, I'm good. No. So,
I'm like, we just stopped. Can I pee again?
so George and I are talking about cameras because I was like, now I'm realizing we need more battery packs or some way to keep our cameras going if I'm going to record in 4K. And there is a noise that I acknowledge that George says he doesn't hear. So here's the.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was
George
very
seems
strange.
to hear everything.
Yeah, it was very strange.
that's why the cameras, I was really excited about them, but now I recognize that shooting it at the highest quality means that you have the lowest battery life. So,
Amber, how?
oh, that didn't even come up on here. That was weird. Did you hear somebody yell though? No. You didn't?
I'm gonna play it again because you probably missed it the first time. So.
That's why the cameras, I was really excited about them, but now I recognize that shooting it at the highest quality means that you have the lowest battery life. So,
Amber, how?
oh, that didn't even come up on here. That was weird. Did you hear somebody yell though? No. You didn't?
You can hear it while you're talking.
Yep.
Huh?
See, to me, it doesn't sound like a yell. It's another.
No, this one, it's a higher pitch while she's talking.
It wasn't the Amber How?
Mm-mm.
No,
But is
that
it
completely.
at
Yeah.
the spot that I'm thinking it is? Because if it is, you just gloss over it and then are like, wait, I think I heard a yell.
yeah. So I looked whenever, because at this point we're not recording. I am talking to George and kind of like playing with my phone, and then it says the amber and all that stuff, and I was like, "Ooh, that didn't even pull up." And so I was messing with that, and I heard the yell while I was talking to him, and then was like, I looked towards it, and then looked back at him, and he seemed to not notice anything. That's why I asked, "Did you hear that yell?"
But I hear it towards the beginning of you like talking, and then it towards the end of this, it does the amber or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that? Towards the beginning?
Yes.
The beginning.
Okay.
I pulled the whole clip because I wanted to show me recognizing it and George not hearing it. So
it's at the beginning.
yes.
That's why the cameras, I was really excited about them, but now I recognize that shooting it at the highest quality means that you have the lowest battery life.
So yeah, that
My thing is just you heard it and then
just chilled.
yeah, and then it was like that's probably why I was like, no, I didn't hear anything. It's because you were like, so 10 minutes later, did you hear that yell? Like,
Yeah.
That could
Oh,
be.
by the way,
But it sounded like it was coming from the entrance, like it was in that direction. Because at this point, we were at the front of the ship, and it was coming towards aft, which is the back of the ship. So
and
Mhm.
it does
the
sound
bathrooms or the head was towards the aft.
no, aft was where the cafeteria, the little food court area was. That was aft. Yeah, the bridge and all of that was where we were going towards.
I'm thinking if you walked in, it was to the right, towards the back of the ship.
Okay, so if you walk in, towards the left is where all the food court and stuff was.
Uh-huh.
That is aft.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't know nautical terms. It's the front, the entrance to the museum ship thingy was behind you guys. So okay, we're saying the same thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're saying the
okay.
same thing. Yes.
I'll shut up.
Okay. So, this is another instance of Whitney and I typically say things like, okay, when we do something and we're ready to go.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Because I'll say it like while I'm at work and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, you just," and I was like, "Oh, I'm telling myself like,
I'm
okay.
okay.
Yes.
I'm
not
okay.
not I'm okay, but like, all right."
I am ready to
Like,
do it
I've
and move
got-
on to the next step.
Or I finished that. Or
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's start doing this shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways.
So this was another instance of me having to listen to it again and again and again before I was like, no, that's not either of us. So,
Okay.
That's okay. Want me to tell him? Okay.
That wasn't okay. That was
That was-
all right.
it was all right. Yeah.
All right.
But
Yeah,
I
that's what I heard.
also say all right.
I
But
do
it wasn't
too.
me.
Exactly. I do too. Because I'll be like, all right.
There are
But-
some times that I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
all right. Okay. So
Yeah.
it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Can
so
we listen to it again?
absolutely.
That's okay. Want me to tell him? Okay.
So, and I listened to that 7 or 8 times being like, could Whitney have said that? Could I have said that? And it was
No,
just,
it
No,
doesn't
because
sound
you
like
can
it's not
very
either of us.
clearly hear.
It's like gritty sounding almost.
No,
Huh?
it's like it sounds.
Oh, no,
like
that's a
it's
different
up
one.
here.
That's a different
Well, that's I'm like trying to like visualize it.
Mhm.
If you're picturing that whoever's listening right now is holding the recorder,
Mhm.
and then up towards your left, down the corridor, not too far, is me and George.
Mhm.
And he's saying, "Let's go here," and I say, "Yeah, okay," and then you say, "Yeah," and then next to you there's a
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a different cadence. It's
Right.
It's a different tone.
yeah. It's a woman,
It's a woman,
It's a
yeah.
woman.
which is interesting
Mhm.
because the okay from earlier was a woman.
And
And so was the oh.
yeah,
So-
could be. And it's not the last time that we get a woman doing that.
And I know there were women on the ship,
Yes,
but part of me is like, what if it's Stephanie?
it could be Stephanie. It could
Like-
have been Lisa.
Like, oh, it
Like,
could have been Lisa,
yeah.
where they were, but just because they responded to like, okay, we're gonna go back here, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, let's go, y'all.
Let me
Right.
get my stuff.
Right. So we head on to the sick bay, and we learn that this is actually the second sick bay there was actually the original sick bay whenever the ship was first done is kind of off to the side, and it was now the mess area, right? Yes. Yeah, it was the mess area. And then, so we were like, oh, well, if this wasn't the original sick bay, then we'd like to go there too. And so we ended up going there a little bit, which we'll get into that. But we used the K2. I know, I'm kind of squirrely.
No, sorry. I was like, we're getting to the good shit. Okay.
Yeah. So we had the K2 because at this point, Nancy was just like, here's K2 and cat balls. So we had K2 and cat balls, which we put on the beds of the sick bay. And this was the setup of the sick bay. Do I have videos of it? I've got videos of it that you'll see. It's 3 bunks, but the top bunk is like you have to haul yourself into it.
But how do you get in there if you're sick?
Exactly.
We asked the exact same thing to the spirits, and we got a response.
Oh.
So it was dowsing rod. But we had my phone going, the dowsing rods, we had the recorder, and then Whitney was doing Estes method with the spirit box. But we didn't get anything, so we decided we're just not going to do Estes method again because they don't like it.
I don't know why we tried to do it again after the wardroom.
They
didn't want that.
They don't like that at all. And so we said, I had the dowsing rods. I said, is anybody in here with us right now? Because at this point, I'm asking questions that Whitney can't hear. And then it said yes. I said, were you a patient in the sick bay? It said yes. I said, were you injured in some way? It said yes. And then I said, were you healed while you were in here? It said no.
Ugh.
So I don't know if that means that they passed away or if they were just perpetually injured after that kind of thing. So I said, is there a reason that you stay behind here? And it said yes. And I said, are you stuck here? And I got no response. And then I said, are you not sure? And it got no response. And then I said, are you able to say anything into the S box that Whitney's holding? I got no response. And then I asked, does that require a lot of energy? And it said yes. I said, is it difficult to get energy? And it said yes. I said, do you enjoy people coming by during the tours? It said yes. And I said, were you positioned in a top bunk? And it said yes. I said, was it difficult to get into those? And it said yes. I said, would you prefer us to not use the spirit box? And it said yes. And at that point, I stopped Whitney and we didn't use the spirit box again after that. So the weird stuff that happened, in the sick bay bunks, basically it's a row. There's two sets of bunks right here, and then there was a final set of bunks right here, and then there was this corner that didn't go anywhere. And every time I walked to the back of that corner, I got super anxious.
And I went back there and was fine.
She was fine. I got really anxious when I got back there, and it was like, as long as I was away from that corner, I was fine. But the closer I got to that, and especially if I turned my back to it, I got really like in the pit of my stomach, anxious kind of thing. So that was weird. This is another thing that if you all don't hear this, or if you're like, nah, I don't think that's anything, totally understandable. I was walking around and I heard something walk behind me, and I turned to face it and then tried to follow where I heard it go. And it's very, very faint, but you can kind of hear a shuffling behind me, and that was when I turned to face it. So if y'all don't hear it, that's fine. It's super faint, but it's a video.
Oh, okay.
So I can play it again.
Okay.
And
was it the rattling?
There's a kind of rattling, shuffling, like somebody's dragging their feet on the floor a little bit.
I don't hear the shuffling.
Yeah.
I do hear the noise that I follow.
Yes.
I do
so,
hear that.
And that
You
might
hear
be
what?
There's a certain noise that we're getting to that it keeps happening, and I kind of end up following it through the ship, and
then we figure out what it is. Yeah.
And then we figure out where it is, and it's a little
creepy.
weird.
Okay. So listen and see if you can hear them.
Okay.
I hear that a little bit But it's hard to
Very faint.
tell whether it's you moving or something else.
Yeah, and that could be, I definitely heard and felt something and turned to see what was back there, because it was just enough to get the hair on the back of my neck standing up.
So it's interesting.
A little clip or a little clerk or a little.
So that's the noise I end up following. And you turn around right after it happens.
Oh, weird, because that wasn't what I was responding to. It was just, I thought I heard something walking. So, but this was the area that I turned around at one point, saw my own reflection. It was like, oh fuck. So, because there was,
you should add that in. Like, make sure that's a clip, because I want to see that.
It was entertaining. I can find it and show it to y'all because it's in one of the Ghost Tube things. Oh fuck. Oh my god. It caught my shadow.
Oh my god.
My reflection in there. It looked like somebody standing there. Holy crap. There was a room in the sick bay. So whenever I turned around and you saw that silver wall, that was actually a separate room that I think was like a quarantine kind of thing, or like a surgery center or something. But there's mannequins in there.
It's quarantine. Oh yeah, they have mannequins all over the place.
Everywhere.
Cool, whenever you're walking around at the daytime and there's like 20 million people. I say 20 million. There's a fuck ton of people. And so you're just like, yeah. They're demonstrating what it would have looked like. Like, this is the dentist's office, and here's the man in pain in the chair. Okay. But when it's night and all the lights are fucking off, and you turn your head and there's a fucking mannequin in there in pain, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I bet.
So, yeah. And I want to say in the same area, you saw the mannequin, you were like, oh my God, that's a mannequin. And then I saw my reflection and was like, oh shit, that's me. So.
I'm sure George and Nancy at that point were like, these two.
Oh, yeah.
God damn.
100% they were like, these bitches. So, this is kind of an innocuous one, but it's a video. It's me using the Ghost Tube app with the that works like an obelisk, and it just pops up a word, and I acknowledge that. Yeah, that is what it is. So,
I was gonna say, none of those went off.
Yeah,
except for the one whenever I first
Night.
Night. It is night outside. Huh. The only reason I include that is because the app had said nothing for nearly 45 minutes.
And then all of a sudden it says that.
And then all of a sudden it popped up and said night. So
maybe it was also acknowledging that it's night and the mannequins are terrifying.
Maybe. Yeah, that could be. So
or they're like, it's time for you to leave. Night.
Yeah.
That could be. Long.
We actually made that point later on that Nancy was like, I think it's past the spirit's bedtime.
Yeah, because they hadn't done a late night one in a long time. And they had one that went until like 10, and they had said that it was like supposed to be someone's birthday or something, but it was kind of like they acted like they were too cool for it or something, and so they just they were like, really, it's going to take until 10? And they were like, okay.
Well, you guys are going to be fun.
Yeah. So
at this point at the sick bay, George and Nancy are in one area, kind of like the receiving waiting room area, and Whitney and I are in the actual sick bay area, but we're around the corner where
there's more chairs.
Yeah, where you saw when I kind of like went around the corner in that video and was like, are you over here kind of thing? We were over there, and we were hearing this squeaking noise that was constant. We heard, I counted, there were over 25 squeaks over the course of 17 minutes that we caught.
Is somebody rocking in a chair?
No. We actually figure out what this noise is. So we actually follow it through the ship to our next location.
I told you, or I told George, but I was like, it sounds like it's back there. Like, it sounds like, at first I was like if there was a mouse running through the ship.
Yeah.
Like, you hear it, and then you hear it again, but it's further down in the ship. And so I was like, I heard it, and I hear it again, but it sounds further away now.
Right.
And he was like, okay. And so we kept walking.
And then
we found it.
We found it. So I have a sampling of what these squeaks sounded like, because I wasn't going to play you 17 minutes worth of squeaks, but
you should. That should actually be like our mini episode.
Just
Welcome
17
to the
minutes
Lexington
of
squeakers.
So here are, I think I have 3 or 4 squeaks in this one.
Okay.
In World War II?
We, at this point, Whitney and I were sitting in the chairs that were in that little room off to the side, and Whitney had actually put a cat ball down in one of the chairs. And we sat there and listened to these squeaks kind of like move off, and then they get a little closer, and then they move off, and then they get, we were like, this is weird. And then Whitney, at one point, picks up the cat ball, and she had set it down turned on, and when she picked it up, it had been turned off.
Oh.
And we didn't, do you not remember this?
No, I do.
Okay.
I do now. I remembered bits and pieces, just like my life.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a lot more because I've been going through this religiously.
I was gonna say, you're refreshing it all. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, so that was weird because Nancy and George were like, there's no way to turn it off other than hitting the button to turn it off. But they have
said that
it happened.
It's happened.
It's happened before.
It'll, without it going off, like lights going off, it will turn off. So
yeah. So, and we were kind of relieved.
And it doesn't have an automatic off.
Nope. Okay. So we tell George that that's a thing, and he was like, okay, well, we can head back towards, because one of the areas that we wanted to go was the chapel, because it was kind of creepy in the daytime.
Yeah,
so
it's just a little weird.
It's a little, we just got weird feelings in there. It's kind of nondescript, but at the same time, like, it's clearly a chapel, and Nancy even told us that people get married in there, and we were like, oh. I don't know what you want to, but okay.
And if you guys got married in the Lexington, proud of you.
Yeah.
But
there's,
once we get in there, George kind of, after we do our thing, kind of explains the history of the chapel, and then it all makes sense.
Yes.
So we'll get there.
Yeah, so we get into the chapel, and at this point, neither of us have our cameras going, but I've got a recorder going on the altar, and Whitney has one going in the back pew. And I have the Mel meter sitting on the altar next to it.
I recorded you with my phone.
For like a hot second. It wasn't too long. But we didn't get anything on your phone other than just me.
But just your...
Yeah.
I guess you wrote down everything that we said.
I did. Yeah. So we get into the chapel, and it is pitch black in there. We instantly note that we do not feel comfortable in there at all. Like, Whitney and I were both like, I feel super anxious, and it just didn't feel right. It felt like...
And it felt a little off when we were in there during the day.
It did.
But it wasn't...
It felt like we weren't welcome, is how I felt.
See, to me, it wasn't that I didn't feel welcome. It felt like I felt uneasy.
Like, I felt like I had interrupted something.
I just felt like like something was happening and I shouldn't quite be there, be a part of it, but maybe it just was not a great feeling.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So we get settled, and I take the dowsing rods and I go and stand. So the chapel's kind of laid out where you've got rows of pews that come out diagonally from the altar, and then the center of the room is empty.
So it's kind of like if most rooms are 4 walls. Just basic architecture, if anyone needed that. So 4 walls. In one corner, you have the altar. And then off of that, you've got pews on one wall. Yeah. And then the same wall sharing that altar, you've got pews on that. And then the other 2 walls don't have anything, and it's open.
Yes. Okay. And then directly diagonal from the altar is this big shaft that's open.
Okay.
And it's got a piece of glass on it, so you can't go in it. But it's a big shaft, and then there's a room that's next to that goes back.
And that shaft it's an elevator. And
it's an elevator. Yeah. And we'll tell you what that shaft actually is here in a minute. But this other room, it has like a couch and some mirrors.
It's
a weird room. And we ended up learning what this room was, and it makes sense once you learn it. Okay. But I was like, is this a dressing room? Is this like, when
exorcism room?
Well, yeah, like Nancy was like, they hold weddings here. I was like, well, is this where the bride hangs out? Like, this is weird. Yeah. It was definitely not a bridal kind of thing.
And during the day, you didn't like that room.
I didn't like that room at all.
At night, I didn't want to look in that room.
I didn't either. I felt like something was watching us from that room. And I mentioned that to Nancy.
It's not that it felt like something was watching us. It felt like a darker dark.
Yes.
Like it was dark in there.
But it was darker in there.
Black.
Yeah.
Like thick.
Yeah. So
She thick.
so we get in there and I have the dowsing rods and I say, is there someone here with me right now? And said yes. And I said, can you put it back to neutral? Because putting it back straight in front of me. And instead it just said yes harder. And I said, you don't have to say yes. You can just put it back to neutral. And then it put it back to neutral.
I was like, all right, bitch.
Okay.
Fine.
Probably a jokester.
Probably,
Say, "Yeah,
yes.
I can do it."
So I said, did you used to come to this chapel a lot? It said yes. And while we're in the chapel, these squeaks are continuing. And they've gotten much louder. And so I asked, did you used to be a pastor here? I got no response. I said, were you a soldier here? It said yes. Did you serve in World War II? No response, but the rods did move, but I couldn't tell if I moved them or if they moved. So we just didn't count it. And then I asked again, did you serve in World War II? It said yes. I said, did you pass away on the ship? It said yes. Is there a reason you stay here? No response. Or did you just stay here because you like this place? Yes. Does it take a lot of energy to move these? Yes. Do you like the chapel out of everywhere on the ship? It said yes. I said, this is like a safe place for you, right? It said yes. And I said, are there more spirits than just you in here? And it said yes. And at this point, it was really having issues moving them back and forth. So we said, can we talk to one of them? We'd hate for you to expend your energy entirely. And it said yes. And then at this point, they did start moving quite a bit more. And we said, are there less than 5 spirits in here? It said no. We said, are there less than 10 spirits in here? And it said no. And Whitney said, are there 12 spirits in here? It said yes. We don't know.
12.
She has no idea. It just popped into her head.
For some reason, 15 felt too high.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, 12?
Yeah, it was the
Seems
same
reasonable.
as when I asked if there were 2 spirits in the wardroom. I had no idea where I came up with 2. It's just what I said.
Okay.
So at this point, we're all kind of doing our own thing. Nancy and I are checking out the room that's on the side of the chapel that we both were like, this place feels weird. And I was asking her, like, what is this used for? And there is a very loud noise at only on my recorder that's sitting on the altar while this is happening.
And I think at this point, I'm with...
You're with George and you're in a
the-
different room.
In the Blue Ghost area.
Yeah.
Okay. Something fell or
Nope. Listen again.
It's a woman.
what'd you say?
It's a woman's breath.
And she's like,
Yes.
yeah.
It almost like
Oh.
I get the feeling. We can listen to it again. It's almost like she's sighing like that, like she's like
Oh,
kind
see,
of thing.
it's not a
But
sign.
it's not the.
It's like a...
breath.
Yeah.
It's like
So,
almost your, I'm okay. But,
Yeah.
but in
So-
a psi form.
Yeah.
kinda.
Listen
Okay.
again, and it's towards the endish to it.
Right after when we were in here earlier,
Mm-hmm.
it happens.
And then what's the clank?
I don't know what the clanking is.
I don't know what the clanking is. Don't even remember noting a clanking on it.
There's a clanking
clanking
after.
in
There's
there.
a clanking sound, but I take it that you guys are looking
We're
at
walking
something.
around. Yeah, we're walking
But it
around.
sounds like
we're
something
not touching
has-
anything.
We're not
has
touching
fallen
anything.
and like like a record if it fell and it was like blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
It's-
Yeah, like a plate.
yeah.
Tink, tink, tink.
I mean, so
You want to listen?
yeah, I guess. I don't remember that. I didn't note that
Now-
whenever.
I know at one point. Well, no, that was when we were doing our dowsing rods and stuff. At one point, we heard a thud, or
Yes.
something like that, and we were like, "What the fuck?" And I walked over, and George was like, "That was me."
Yeah, he was like, that was
He
me.
dropped
that was
his
me.
phone, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, but so for me to not note that, it must have been a sound that was happening. Like, I can't there was hours of footage or hours of stuff that it must have been happening, or I was so focused on that breath that I didn't
Yeah.
notice that.
Because it sounds like to me a plastic plate.
Yeah.
Like it's a very thin sound.
Maybe that like she dropped it and it was like, and she was like, oh, like, you know,
Maybe.
I don't know.
But-
I've been holding on to this for 15
Honestly, the
years.
clanking I feel fits kind of.
It does with what's coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I ask, are you excited to talk to people? And I get a yes. And at the same time, you get a weird noise behind my voice, and it's only on my recorder.
Are you excited to talk to people?
There's an okay at the beginning.
Yeah, there's something before you even say anything.
Yeah, it goes, okay. And you go, are you excited to talk to people? And then you hear a wow.
Okay, the roar is what I was referring to, but I don't remember there being an okay.
Yeah, at the very
Play it
beginning of
again.
it goes, okay.
Are you excited to talk to people?
And then a wow.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
I don't hear the
I do
wow.
hear it. I don't know why.
It's not loud. It's very,
It's in the background. It's under me talking.
yeah.
So.
No, it's after you talking.
Oh yeah, I say, are you excited to talk to people? And then you hear this like at the end of people, it's like a wow kind of thing.
I don't know if it's like a voice or if it's
I don't know.
a leftover noise from something
Yeah.
or.
Play it one more time.
Are you excited to talk to people?
Oh, I heard it.
Yeah. Y'all
But
were
there
so
is
focused
the
on the
okay.
okay. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
hear the okay in the beginning. I don't know.
Is that the same lady that we've heard that said,
Maybe?
Play it again?
Are you excited to talk to people?
I mean,
It sounds male to me. But
the okay or the
yeah,
row?
the okay.
oh,
No,
the
it's a
okay's
female.
A
Is it?
female.
100%.
The row might be
And
a male.
This sounds weird, the breathiness of it fits with the other okay
Yeah.
and the all right.
That could be, yeah. It might be the same person. Who knows? So, I asked, do you like seeing little children here and learning about the ship? We got no response. And then,
They're a pain in the ass.
yes. Do you like the people that work here on the ship? And it said yes. And then Whitney asked, is that squeak I'm hearing a cart? And it said yes, because we said it sounds like a squeaky cartwheel. And so that's why she asked that.
I even asked George.
So
was
we're
like,
going to
"Do
get
you-"
to that.
Well, no, I asked him before.
Oh, yeah.
Before
And he
we
said yeah.
started, because we walked in there and I heard it and I was like, could it be like, I don't know, from like a cart? Like a, I don't know. And he was like,
He said it kind of sounds like that.
no, he didn't say anything.
He
to me.
didn't?
He just kind of like kind of a shrug, like, well.
Yeah, I
That
guess
was
at that
all he
point
really
he
gave me?
was kind of staying mum about things that
And so I asked
yeah.
with the dowsing rods because I was like, well, I think it sounds like a cart,
Mhm.
like a squeaky wheel on a cart.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Nancy asked, are the 12, because at this point we were like, if y'all want to ask stuff, you are welcome to. Like, you're not intruding on the investigation. And she asked, are the 12 people working here working with the bombs? And we were like, okay. And we got no response. And then I said, are some of you working with the bombs? And we got yes. And then we learned that before this was a chapel, it was actually a bomb elevator area used for nuclear warheads.
Oh.
And that
so they would
shaft was
transport,
the bomb elevator.
and they would transport on a cart the nuclear bomb from one area of the ship. And George was explaining the door. So the door to the chapel from the blue ghost area, most of those doors you have to step over.
Yes.
Okay.
And this one is almost flush with the floor. And that's because these carts would come in carrying these nuclear bombs, and then they would take it to the shaft, and then that would get taken to wherever it was supposed to be. Like, if it was going up and being sent off, then that's where it would go. But I was like, could that be why we're feeling anxious? It's because there's nuclear bombs, and they're feeling anxious, and there's a squeaky wheel on the cart because you guys have a very heavy nuclear bomb on it.
And we found out that this area was run exclusively by the Marines. The Marines were the ones that handled all of the nuclear stuff and bomb stuff on the ship. And that room that was behind that, I was like, is this a dressing room or something? It turns out that was the rest area for these Marines. While they were waiting for bombs to come through, they would sit in there and chat and chill. So Don't know why it was darker than the rest of the area, but we definitely didn't.
Unless
like
it
that area.
felt it was like you're intruding on our personal space.
Could be, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. So,
But we didn't hear the squeaking.
after that,
I heard it
like a couple
I
times
was
while
gonna
we
say,
were
I
in
heard
there.
it one other place, but I was like, the chapel is right over there, and they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, but you can't hear it anywhere else. It's only whenever you're closer to the chapel, because we didn't go very far from the sick bay to the chapel.
Yeah, it was like maybe a 2-minute walk. It was
Not
very
even.
close.
It was like you walk out and they've got displays and shit, and they're like, don't go here. And then we went where, don't go here. And then poof, you were at the chapel.
So we asked, did you enjoy your job? We got no response. And then I said, are you proud that you served in the military? We got yes. And then we were noticing it was really struggling again to move it. And so I said, is it getting hard to expend energy on the rods? It said yes. And so I was like, okay, we'll stop with the rods, and thank you for doing what you've done so far. So we decided to sit and chill for a while and just kind of listen to whatever we would hear. And George told us about the original use of the chapel a little bit more and stuff. And from this point, we decided to go to the former sick bay area, which is the current mess hall. And this was kind of a last minute kind of thing. Like, we had mentioned in the sick bay that we would like to go to the former sick bay, but it wasn't something that we had decided while we were back in the volunteer lounge at the very beginning. So this was kind of a well, we can take you there. That's no big deal. So that was when we decided to go to the former sick bay area, and that is where we're going to leave you for part 2, because we're already at an hour something, and this took a lot longer than I anticipated. So we're going to actually make this a 4-parter.
Whoa! This is as long as the Lexington itself.
Just about.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an 8-hour investigation, so.
I meant the ship.
Oh. I mean, time-wise and ship-wise.
Was a bunch of ship.
Jesus. Anyway, stay tuned for the next episode, and
we'll spook you bitches later.
We'll spook you later, bitches. Splash. Splash. Goodbye.
Bye.